Hey everyone. In this section, we're going to discuss more about perception. So, perception can be thought of in two different ways. One is bottom up processing, and the other is top down processing. So, bottom up processing is when the sensory information drives the process. Things that are not really in your control and breaks through to your perception. So you could think about that you are sitting in a restaurant that is rather loud and you're talking with your friends and you're paying attention to what they're saying, but then somebody drops some glasses and you hear that loud noise and commotion, and that takes your attention away from your person that you're talking to, and it cuts through all the other noise and you're attending directly to that. That's a bottom up processing. On the other hand, top down processing is where you have a certain knowledge and expectation that is driving the process. This is a goal directed, slow, effortful process that you do control. So you could think about this like if you are looking for your keys that you've misplaced. So as you're looking around your room or your house and you're looking for your keys, you're looking for particular things. First of all, you know what your key looks like. If it has a certain keychain on it, then you might be focused on the color or the size, and you're not paying attention to other things that don't fit that. You're also paying attention to where the keychain likely is. You aren't looking in places that would be ridiculous for a keychain, or for your keys to be located in, because why would they be there? You can think of that it isn't controlling it. You don't look on top of things that are super high or whatnot, because that wouldn't be where your keys are. You're looking for the places, oh, I'm normally in this room or that room, or I normally put my keys here or there, or I was sitting over on the couch earlier, so maybe I dropped them there. You're being driven. The process of your perception of the environment is being driven by you. Top down processing also leads to what we call perceptual sets. And this is a way that we perceive stimuli in a specific way that helps us to understand it based on our prior experiences and expectations. So you can look at these examples here of the first word, the cat. Now, in this, both the H and the A are written exactly the same. But from your prior experiences, you know that THE spells a word and CAT spells a word. So you perceive it as the first one being an H and the second one being the letter A, even though they are written with the same character. And the same goes for the next example as well, that you can read this pretty well. Even though we it is substituted letters for numbers, because you have prior experience with words and how things are spelled, you can still interpret this without looking at as a C4N that doesn't make any sense. You can understand that that is representing the word can. Our perceptions can be altered. One of these ways is unintentional blindness. And so that was the video that you watched with the people passing the basketball. So the majority of people will miss that a gorilla walked through the group because they are paying so much attention to counting the number of passes of the ball. And so intentional blindness is the failure to notice something that's completely visible, but because you're paying attention to something else. I'm sure you've experienced this in other situations where someone says, "Hey, did you see that?" You're like, "No, I wasn't paying attention. I was looking over there." And so you completely missed what someone else saw. We also have a concept of sensory adaptation, which is the decrease of sensitivity to a constant level of stimulation. So you might walk into a room and you hear the air condition going or the fan whirring or maybe there's some outside maybe you're near a busy road and so there's cars going back and forth. I once lived in an apartment that was very close to a very busy road, and sometimes you would notice it, and it would be super loud. But then eventually, you just kind of stopped paying attention to it, and you weren't processing all the noise unless there was something different. Usually, it was a motorcycle because it had a different sound than all the other cars, and so you would that would kind of stick out because you didn't have the adaptation for that different pitch of the engine. Another aspect of this is signal detection theory, the ability to identify a stimulus when it's embedded in a distracting background. How much of information is needed, sensation is needed, but also what are you paying attention to? Have you ever been in the shower and you knew somebody was going to call you? And so while you're in there and the water's going and that makes a lot of noise, you think you hear your cell phone ringing. Or how does, say, a parent hear their child making small whimpers in another room, but yet not hear other noises? So even though there is distracting noise all around, that there are certain things that can have more salience, and therefore you're more likely to attend to that information. When we're talking in general about the senses, you are most familiar with the five most common senses that people talk about: vision, hearing, which is also known as audition, smell, which is known as olfaction, taste, which is known as gustation, and touch, which is known as somatosensation. But there's other senses as well. We have things like balance or vestibular. We have body position. And where's your body in space? Are you leaning over too far? Are you tipping over? Or where are your limbs? And so this is known as proprioception. We also have a sense of movement, which is kinesthesia. We have a sense for pain, which is nociception, and then we have a sense for temperature, which is thermoception.